Welcome to PhD with Woman on It, Hack the Future. My name is Beata Young, and today's Positivity Hacks delivered will be by our guest, Cristina Marquez. Topic: Building smarter cities, data, tech, and the future of urban living. Episode 141 starts here. Let me remind you, this is a grassroots community that focuses on women on IT, an inclusive form of women in technology, startups, and female leaders who are supported by men as well. And I bring heart to that hustle because empathy is my mojo. And empathy is critical when you are building smarter cities. First, let me remind you what's been happening in the world of technology and female entrepreneurs. Congratulations to Soraya Turk and Barnaba Castanolona for winning the Oxford-style debate about AI as a catalyst to leapfrog the gender gap in tech, organized by Women in Tech Global. Best of luck to our former PhD guest Kelly Howie on her upcoming event as one of the guest speakers in She Ventures, organized by Awaken Hub this coming May. Go, Kelly. I hope to see you soon because it looks like we are coming to New York soon. And finally, congratulations to Elaine Montilla, CTO of Person and former PhD guest, on being recognized as one of the top 100 Latinos of 2024 by Latino Leaders magazine. Wishing you continued success, Elaine. Now let's go back to our topic: building smarter cities, data, tech, and the future of urban living. Can you imagine a city that thinks for itself? Dive deeper and discover the truth behind smart cities. Are they just science fiction or a technological revolution waiting to happen? Let's explore the data, the tech, and the potential of these next generation urban landscapes. Join us for an engaging live stream as we delve into the fascinating world of smart cities with the accomplished Cristina Marquez, a digital advisor known for her role as Chief Innovation Officer and business strategist in different companies. Don't miss out. Tune in, ask your questions with a tech visionary. Today, Cristina is going to unlock the secrets of smarter cities. Cristina, let's start with a simple question. What smart city are you in today?
Thank you so much, Beata. I'm actually in Madrid, Spain, and thank you for having me today here.
Well, Madrid, Spain, it's a beautiful location. I bet it's also beautiful weather. What can you tell us about Madrid? And maybe let's go Jetsons style and fast forward into the world of smart city of Madrid. What can you see is being done in terms of smart city, smart living?
Well, actually, I would say that many initiatives also not only for the projects I work in, but also as a citizen, right? For example, the other day I was going to a swimming pool, and when I wanted to go to a swimming pool, I could just reserve the time I wanted to go, the swimming pool I wanted in the city. There are many, and the time, and just with an app, and that was wonderful because before you needed to go to the location, do the reservation in advance, prepare your schedule, and this was just on the go. So that was one of the first examples that we have. And another is to report, for example, that something happened in your neighborhood, and you just through the same app say, hey, here it's happening this, or happened this. Could the emergency services or the garbage collectors come and move the what's in the street? So those are really use daily usages that we can have with this app.
So, paint a picture for us. What does this smart city of the future look like? Can a city really think for itself, or is it a swarm kind of a joint effort of every citizen? What's it like?
Well, first, I would say that smart cities are using technological solutions to improve the management and the efficiency of the resources and the urban environment, right? So, this is done thanks to many devices that collects data, but also people who lives in there and the necessities they have, their needs. So, it's a mix between both things together. Um, well, we are far yet to our city thinking by itself because regulations are updated every day, new laws come. So until everything is automatically done, we will need someone there and many people collaborating so that we can make right policies and nice projects that helps everybody to live in this city.
Mm. So you gave us some examples of this app. What's the app code? Maybe somebody will want to download it once they are in Madrid.
Well, in Madrid, the app I was talking about, let me check the exact name, is called Madrid Mobile, like Madrid
Yeah.
Mobile.
Hmm.
It also allows you to do some paperwork through it. So I'm I'm using it lately a lot.
Excellent. What kind of paperwork are we talking about?
Well, for example, if you move to the city center, you can do some stuff through it. Also, as I said, to register in these sport centers and the swimming pool. I don't know, it's really something that I'm discovering because I was not using it as much before, and every day I discover a new feature.
Well, there are, well, for example, let's say if you're using Google Maps, you have to, of course, allow the tracking device to be switched on. However,
Mhm.
it is very useful, for example, in recognizing the traffic or when are the opening hours, what are the times that there will be no queue, what are the most popular times or least popular times. So it is all kind of connected devices together. However, have you heard of any issues or concerns? Because you mentioned regulations.
Mhm.
What are the concerns for the users? What they should be aware of?
Well, as any app that works with data and every data driven project, there are many concerns, especially with privacy, right? And in Europe, we have this regulation about data, the RGPD, that enhance and tries to guarantee the privacy of users as much as possible. So, for example, um, in the usage of this app, I didn't need to register my full name just with an email and my mobile phone. I would be fine. But if I want to go regularly to a sports center, I needed to give my exact name as usual, right? As when you do your scholarship in a high school. So regarding this data privacy, is something that is mandatory, and I cannot mention it enough because we are our data is online. Everything that is about us is almost online. For example, everybody has a bank account and that need to be protected by the bank and your passwords and other security levels and regulations, of course. If you go to this sports center, well, I hope it's not published where I go and when, just in case something bad happens. Um, for example, if I go on my car, I use, for example, you said Google Maps or other app like Waze to see the traffic, but my avatar is not who I am and not directly identified. And that's something that all the people in Europe are more conscious after this regulation.
Hmm. Are they really conscious though, Christina? Because I read every consent letter, said no one ever.
Of course, not everybody knows about it. It's impossible to have everybody conscious about it, but we have done a really good work saying and having informative talks about it, doing research and advising the population how to protect themselves, on how to protect their data. For example, you shouldn't publish a photo with your ID, or this when you go on a flight and you want to publish that you are going to a destination and you have already taken that flight. And the same with all your data. If you protect it first, then you are helping the other system to protect you. So it's a matter of both things working together.
Mm. There is always a concern with new technology. What jobs might become obsolete as these smart cities take shape? And more importantly, what new opportunities will this create?
Well, smart cities are following mostly the sustainable objectives that are worldwide, like efficiency, health, insurance, sustainability, all related to those goals. So mostly those smart cities are going to pursue this kind of projects and are working on having a better life for all the citizens and how to govern it better. Also, bring accessibility to people who need it and have the innovation and the technology that allows to govern it also. So I wouldn't say that these jobs are going to disappear completely, but they are going to adapt and are going to change in the way we know them right now. For example, we already have in Madrid and other cities these cashiers that are automatically when you go to a marketplace, and you maybe don't even need a person who is close to you to help you pay the all the shopping you did. Those places are not so common but exist. Usually when you go to a supermarket there is a person who helps you, and there are other tracks where you can go on your own. So it's not that it has disappeared, but definitely has changed. Why? Because this other person can focus on other tasks at the same time, and I think that's gonna be affecting every job. So to give another example, there are jobs that are related with data that didn't exist before. It's, for example, commented that drones pilots are going to be a tendency in the future. We don't know many people who do that, but trials are already happening. And hence, this job didn't exist. So new ones are coming as well.
Right, but let's talk about affordability. Smart
Mhm.
cities sound amazing, and if anybody of our viewers watched the Jetsons, it looked so funky to get into this flying saucer, and that still seems to be quite a far distant future. Will the smart cities only be for the wealthy? How can we ensure everyone benefits from these technological advancements?
Well, that might be the first thinking that we could have when we don't have all the data. As I said, the main goal of a smart city is to improve resource efficiency, reduce pollution, and enhance the urban transportation and also the communication networks, update the infrastructure, and address the needs of its population, because a city without population is not a city. So regarding that, the benefits that a citizen can have are many. from the economic development, just by being in the right city in the right moment, and efficient public utilities, increasing digital equity, security, life quality. So, and this, when I said the right city, I mean the right city to you, because when you are in a city, you might want to move to another one as well. And cities has this kind of accessibility and infrastructures. But it's true that there are many challenges to build these cities, and it's not made from one day to another, and people need support. Basically, we need many people who want to study in technology, for example, telecommunication engineers, IoT engineers, computer scientists, cybersecurity ones. So I'm talking about engineers because I'm an engineer, a telecommunication engineer one. But of course, there is not only a work for engineers, people who manage are there, people who are in charge of the administration, the business. So all of them together are going to build this city. And it's not a matter of who has the resources, because um, at least in Spain, we have a really good education that is mandatory for until the 16 years old. And there are many programs that are helping people to achieve these opportunities. I'm not sure about other countries, but for example, in an area of Spain, the education is free. You don't need to pay for the books. You don't need to pay for the education of your children until they are uh, in an advanced age. And I know, for example, that in Germany, the tuition for the university is free. Also, the transportation when you are studying. So there are many ways to be in the place of building these cities.
Mm. So I actually like I've written down your what you said. A city without population is not a city. Let's go further. A smart city without smart connectivity is not smart city. So in terms of the jobs of the future, I can see, for example, we've seen it firsthand. Congestion and pollution are increasingly a big problem for cities, and moreover, COVID-19 crisis has made many municipalities realize the need for a comprehensive post-pandemic approach to bring commuters back into shared mobility. Now, I know, for example, some countries are suffering power cuts, like, for example, Malta, where I used to live. Some countries do not have, I wouldn't call it smart users of smart devices, but you know what I mean. Not many
Mhm.
people know. Not many people use even 10% of the ability of their smart devices. They queue for the latest iPhone, but really, if they use 10% of the ability of that smartphone, that's quite heartening, right? So what should we learn about our devices to become a smart citizen?
Well, I didn't know about the Malta issues, but I think this problem is also in other places due to the acceleration that we suffered due to the pandemic. We were not ready for a pandemic happening, and that's what we all live. Everything was kind of working and overworking, even like the network was working fine, but in other places was saturated. When you are in New Year's Eve, for example, or when you are in a concert. So sometimes it's just that the forecast of the use of the usage of the infrastructure hasn't been updated accordingly in the time is needed, right? And then smart citizens have to also learn to adapt to that. It would be impossible for a person to use the 100% of their brain the first day. And according to my knowledge, it's not possible to have like the 100% usage, but you need to learn, and you learn to work better as you experience time and events. So this would be the same. Smart citizens would need to face these issues and adapt to them accordingly. An example that I could say is when we establish in our country the smart parking. For example, when you go to the cinema or to a shopping mall. Now we have in some places this smart parking where you see a green light when it's available or a red one when it's not, and also a counter of the free spaces you can go in a row of the parking. So this was made from one day to the other, let's say, because you don't go regularly to the shopping mall and you see it and you don't know how it works, but then you realize, right? It's not that difficult in this case. And the same with the cashiers in the supermarkets. They say, hey, why don't you try this self shopping cashier? And then you do your own shopping. So I would say, just to wrap up, that citizens would be fine. It's not something that they have to worry a lot, but definitely some preparation will help. And this preparation could be just studying a little bit of IT, on how to use applications and how they work. For example, they could also learn about the top cybersecurity trends that are happening and how to avoid this risk, learning from the experiences of big companies or other people experiencing that.
All right, let's get our audience engaged. What are some ways that everyday citizens, even those of us who aren't tech gurus, can get involved and contribute to building a smarter future? Give us some examples. What did you like? What you don't like about smarter cities? Obviously, security is a big concern. However, if you have some great prime examples or some experiences from the past, do share with us. Now, Christina, what are your examples apart from going to the swimming pool, and how do you get involved and contribute to building a smarter city?
Well, I'm thankful for this question because I'm really glad to say that my contribution, especially, has been focused in both the academic part and the industry. First, as a researcher, because I wanted to become an agent of change in telecommunications, and thanks to the PhD, I could contribute to the new 5G networks and how to manage the network efficiently. Plus, when I visited MIT, I could work on urban studies, actually in the Department of Urban Studies and Planning, and there I could also help understanding the sociology part of, for example, in this case, a city that wanted to improve the connection between the buses and the distinct areas between the city so that people could um, integrate better and see if there was differences in the income and the education, and also if there was any kind of segregation there, and how to improve the merge of the people so they could balance that differences. So I would say that that was as a researcher. And in the industry, for example, in the different companies I've been working, I have helped, for example, a retail company to improve their business, and helping people finding the how I say it, when you receive the packet at your home to have like a better experience and know better the time it's gonna arrive. Or for example, when you are in a factory, to know when an accident has happened, so everybody has the proper measurements of security in their hand, and they could prepare before going to that section of the factory.
Thank you very much, Christina. Well, we are venturing today into the future. We are talking about cities that practically have a mind of their own. Smart cities. We have a great question coming from Patrick, because if we are talking about mind of their own, he raised a very interesting topic. Interesting discussion. Love using technology, but given the utter incompetence of most municipalities I have ever lived in, the idea of giving more power for their totalitarian remit is worrying. Now, his question is what can be done to restrict the power of the smart city operator to prevent dictatorship? Giving away liberty to have better access to parking spots is a poor trade, I fear.
I completely understand this question. I haven't been in the policy area and the government, so I cannot talk by them. And from my point of view, is that we n- we need to understand that these changes takes time and resources, and usually the government doesn't have, as a public entity, as much resources as a private company. And also private companies have a business running, right? And the government as well, they are running a business in the end. So when you are talking about funding, it's important the difference of making projects that are going to help citizens and how fast are going to be present. In order to reduce the data you share, I think everyone has the right of not using a mobile phone, although it's necessary for many things. Then what you can do is to reduce the usage of the apps and the data that they need. For example, as I said in this, it was a toy example of the swimming pool, but at first, when I was not going regularly, I didn't need to give my complete data to go. And then, if you want to restrict more of your information, you would need some knowledge of how the technology works. For example, I don't share my location data when it's not needed, and I prefer to use apps that doesn't need this feature. Regarding cookies, is the same. I love that the regulation in Europe was forcing companies not to use these cookies as they wanted. They are restricting it and they are adapting to these policies. But of course, when you are agreeing to the terms and usage of the app, you know that your data is going to be used, and how they use it is something that the business do. um, and we cannot do that. We cannot avoid that if we want to use that app. For example, when an app of a bank requires also my location, I say no, I won't share my location. And if I want, I will share my I will use the website, and still you'll be kind of located because everything in the internet has an IP, address, and then they will know from where you connect. But also you can use a VPN, a virtual private network, to avoid that and have more privacy. So in this case, you will need some base and knowledge about how to work on that. But I think the benefit of sharing data when you know is going to be well used is what makes your life simpler and better. And that's what I use try to remark when I do these informative talks. Sharing your data consciously is important because it's not only for you, but of course, misusage of data could happen, and that's the importance of be of being careful with this data. So I completely understand the concern of of this person.
Mm. Now, Christina, you talk about being doing studies, PhD studies, and also being part of MIT program. What inspired you to become involved in the realm of smart cities and urban innovation?
Well, I think it was not straightforward in the beginning. I mean, my passion of becoming an agent of change on the internet was since I was little. I just came at the series. I saw a TV series that involved internet. Many futuristic things, and fell in love with that, and then is when I decided to pursue a telecommunications engineer career. And then when I was doing my studies in telecommunication, loving technology as well, everything related with new things, right, was something I wanted to take part on. um, when I had the opportunity to pursue my PhD, there was this data set that allowed me to understand better the trends on mobile application usage. And I was so happy to work on that. And I could do many things that also are going to help the connection and the management of the network in the future. So it was kind of what happened with following my passion, but also a combination of what I saw during the career and having the opportunity to take part on an interesting project. Then the rest is history. I wanted to continue in this area and involve myself in projects that are similar, and the rest is history, really.
Mm. So you've traveled quite a bit, Christina. What advancement would you like to see in Europe that you have not seen, but you've seen, for example, in America?
That's a really good question. I really haven't traveled that much, I think, because many things are specific on the location due to the circumstances and the people who live there. And I could say that some things that we have in Europe, I would like to have them in the US, for example, others in Asia. So there are many, many things. But one example could be um, when I arrived to the US, I was surprised that there was many information available everywhere, and I found it difficult to be in other places. For example, when I visited London, I went to the subway, and compared to the subway we had in Spain called Metro, was kind of difficult to understand. I mean, not that difficult, but I saw that the translations were better from my point of view in Spain and easier to understand. When changes happen on the network due to unexpected circumstances, it was more advice and more help here than in others. But for example, I would love to have the punctuality of Swedish trains in Spain. That is an example that could be like really easy, but yeah, I would love that. And in the US, hmm, probably I would love to have simpler procedures when you go to a bank, for example, or you go to do some paperwork. But I think that the administration in Spain has the same issues. So I wouldn't say which one is better than the other, honestly.
Mm. So you mentioned the metro and tube station, in London, and because I got used to the system in London so much that I was actually confused when I went to other countries. So I'm wondering if it's really in the eye of beholder, in the eye of user, that it is more complicated because you're not used to living in these places, or is it different approach to user experience?
That's a good question. Probably it's a mix of both. But for example, when I went to Japan, the subway had some areas where you could find information translated. And of course, Japanese is quite different from our languages. But that was what I meant about it. Like every place I went to Madrid is translated in both languages, English or Spanish, and English is not an official language because there are many others official languages. Um, that's not, for example, what I found in London. When I go to a museum, for example, in other countries, France, for example, I see their language and others, and I found it difficult in others museums. Not sure if it was in Zurich, but these differences made my experience uh, made me realize that my experience in my country for other people was more adapted, and probably it was the size of the museum. Maybe it was not a big one.
Well, I'll give you an example from Malta. When we first landed in Malta and when we were trying to get around Malta,
Mhm.
everybody knew, the streets. So they had the expectancy of, don't you know, it's so obvious, it's behind this church next to that church. But with over 200 churches in Malta alone, it's quite difficult to know which church they are talking about. Now we have another follow-up question from Patrick. Comment IPO vid. Here is what he says. Other metro systems, but the problem here is how to encourage digital adoption and manage it with the very analog systems. London UG has plus 150-year-old lines in place. How to make old analog smart again?
Right. So that's the big question, I think, in our transition to the 4.0 industry and the next ones. Um, I would say that it's difficult as a native person with digital things. And you can see this difference between my generation and the previous one or the next one. What I mean by this, I'm a native digital, let's say, because I was born with access to a computer, but not all the families had that. Um, and others had mobile phones before my family, but it was something that I was eager to learn, and that education made a really big impact and not pressure but effort to help us learn to use that. For example, when I was in high school, I was using PowerPoint and Word and many technological devices and applications on my daily life that my previous generation or my parents didn't. So it is something that comes primarily with education and access to technology, and I emphasize this a lot because as a woman in tech, I know, and a person who has trouble, and you will see differences as well with other countries, and Beata, you will be with me in this regard, that many people doesn't have the access, and that's something that also uh, is important to make all the people follow and learn and make the old analog smart. So it's a matter that really impacts us, and that I would say primarily education, but access to it is also mandatory and key.
Mm. Access, but also I would add, Christina, here, engagement, because so many people are just passengers, so few of us are leaders of change, and we want to live in more smarter cities. That's definitely a point of today's discussion we want to take away. Um, Now, for all the dreamers and innovators out there, I hope you leave a little heart or whatever emoji you would like to leave with us today. But maybe you could share, what advice do you have for those who want to be part of building these smart cities of tomorrow? Maybe you have some experience that you would like to share with us today, or some suggestions. And who knows, Christina, since she's working with policy changers and makers, she may make a suggestion. Now, Christina, looking ahead, what excites you most about the future of smart cities? Where do you see this technology taking us?
Well, for me, the go-to example is remote surgery, right? When we experienced the pandemic, we could connect with our relatives and, let's say, have a better time due to the technology available. We have many resources to enjoy our time and do something. With all this time, we didn't know what to do. And also, before I forget, I think this remote possibility that communications allow us to have is a wonderful measurement to reduce also the pollution in cities and other places. So I hope this change that we experience goes farther and beyond. But one of the things I'm more excited about is telesurgery, right? When you are in another city and someone from, I don't know, the best surgeist in US or in Asia, on the specific health issue you have, is gonna be with you remotely, and it's gonna help you to recover because he's the one, you know. Previously, you couldn't even imagine you needed to go to that country, or that person needs to go to your country to do a surgery. But with the remote possibilities, god, I cannot wait to see that, and how all these improvements happen, you know. Because sometimes you need to move from one city to another because this service in health is not available, and with this we could do much better, and I'm sure it's gonna be a mind-blowing thing.
Absolutely. So here is a great quotation today. Building smart city is not just about building infrastructure. It's about building communities. It's about empowering people to participate in shaping their own urban future, as Mitra Johari says. Thank you very much, Christina. Now that we are heading towards the end of our show, um, what is the number one book? And it doesn't have to be necessarily about smart cities, the one that made you think about it a little bit deeper and think, oh, I wish I read it before I started my career.
Oof, there are many. um, but once I always remember with joy is a book that was written by Professor Kurose, and I had the opportunity to meet him by chance a couple of years ago, and it's called Computer Networking. Of course, as a telecommunication engineer, I cannot say something that is not related. But the way he talks about networking and the networks and the examples that were so easy to understand were wonderful. The complete name is Computer Networking, top-down approach. A top-down approach, yes. So that one.
Excellent. And now, can you give us your favorite life lesson quote and how did it change you?
Well, I have a couple, but I usually use this one that is go big or go home. I think that has pushed me to go farther my limits always. And for me, it's like, okay, you can fail, but what if something goes well, right? So go big, and if not, go home. You can always go home.
Mm. And why did it inspire you?
Well, for example, when I didn't have the funding to go to MIT, I needed to find something that allowed me to fulfill my dream. In other difficult times of my life have been there as well. Like, you know, you don't know what's gonna happen, but you need to try and try as much as possible, um, with all your efforts. And if it doesn't work, well, at least you tried and did your best. So for me, it's that go big or go home. And when I apply to this next generation of the internet application from Europe to get the funding, there were like three different options to apply. One was related to the projects that they were already, let's say, been working in, and let's say fixed. Other was going to a university that was on the list, and the third option was none of them, and I went for that one. So I think that's an example of go big or go home.
Christina, that's a great quotation. Go big or go home, and use Christina's motivation speech as your GPS, since we are talking about smart cities today. Christina, we like to talk about Eleanor Roosevelt and her great quotation, women are like tea bags. We don't know our true strength until we are in hot water. So, in life, in Smart City, how are you in hot water? How are you brewing, Christina?
Wow. Wonderful, wonderful. I'm gonna write that down. That remind me of the other quote that was, ships are not to be on on the on the area. They are meant to go farther and go to the ocean, right? So that remind me of of that. On my daily life, you said, hmm. I guess that when a project comes and you don't have experience or that much experience on the industry you have been working, uh, is an example, right? Because, for example, when I switched from the academia to the industry, I have much knowledge on telecommunications and cities, but well, when I went to MIT, I wasn't doing something related to sociology, and that new project enhanced my limits. And the same when I was proposed to do something different in a factory or a retail company. I haven't been there. I hadn't have been working there before, but once you try, of course, with a good team and right mentors, you're gonna survive and go through that for sure with success. Oh, I cannot hear you. Yeah, you're mute. Maybe, maybe Beata
Hello, one, two, three. Yes, yes, I can hear myself. Sorry about that. For some reason, we had some problems here. Christina, I'm back. I hope we didn't lose our audience. Right. What stays in the chat is in the chat. I hope everybody is interested in the who in the question that we always ask at the end, Christina. I'm sorry about the issues with my microphone. Clearly, we are talking about connected cities. However, my internet, my device seemed to be not connected. So, the final question of today is: imagine you could invite any person in the world to have private breakfast anywhere in the world. Who would you invite and where would you go to, Christina?
Well, hmm. Well, right now there is a person that is trending topic in Spain, but it was famous before. Probably I would say Sara Garcia Alonso. She is a Spanish astronaut. Probably I will invite her to have brunch at a zero gravity restaurant or something, right? Like, not sure if there is any in Spain, but I know there is one in Dubai called Space. So probably I would go to this zero gravity space with Sarah and ask about her research and how is it to be an astronaut and many other things related.
Because behind every successful woman is a tribe of successful girlfriends who have her back, as Nora Ephron says. Christina, it's been a pleasure to host you today, talking about smart cities, connectivity, network. And since we are part of Woman Tech Makers Network, I'm so delighted to have another woman tech maker ambassador as a guest today. It's been absolutely fascinating. Thank you for giving us a glimpse into the future of urban living. Remember, everyone, the future is what we make it. And with brilliant minds like Christina's leading the way, our cities can be not just smarter, but better for all. And that's it from episode 141 of PhD Livestream. Thanks to our guest, Cristina Marquez. To stay updated and ensure you never miss Positivity Hack delivered, follow Woman on It and turn on notifications to be alerted once a video has been released. Next week, we are hosting Shelley Lombard and we are going to talk about from Wall Street whiz to relationship building innovator. Thank you so much to our lovely audience, Olga Vasina, Patrick Young, and those who watched in silence today. Thank you very much to Fernando, Natalie, and Erminia. As always, our positivity quote comes from positive thinking only and goes: look for something positive in each day, even if some days you have to look a little harder. Finally, if you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude, as Maya Angelou says. Today is your day to hug the future, hug the smart city, hug the positivity you want. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye.